not the old patchwork table runner, you know, with the batting and the quilting and whatnot. This is going to be the simplest, easiest table runner you've ever done. But it gets better because you can use your leftover fabrics from your stash, you know, your leftover strips of fabric to be more precise, to make it. But you can also use a jelly roll and save yourself all that trouble of cutting those strips to size, which is what I'll be doing today. My best friend gave me one of these for Christmas and I cannot wait to use it. I am so excited with this one, guys. I can't even tell you how cool this project is. And by the end of this video, you will know all there is to know to make one yourself, regardless of your sewing skills. It does not matter if you've just started sewing or if you've been doing it for years, you will be able to do this and have a lot of fun in the process. So for me, the first part is kind of the hardest because we need a lot of strips. And you may not have the size you need for this project in particular in your scrap pile, but guess what? You can just sew fabrics together and make it miscellaneous because in the end, you won't even notice. I am making a 14 by 40 inches weaved table runner, you know, give or take. Meaning we will be doing it like people make baskets, weaving the strips together, and all you will see in the end are these really small squares. So if you're making longer strips of several different fabrics, it will make a difference. We will need 40 2.5 by 14 inch strips and 14 2.5 by 40 inch strips. And making these even numbers just make our jobs so much easier. So I'm using, as I've told you, the Robert Kaufman strips I got from the Jelly Roll, and these are 2.5 by 45 inches. So I'm just going to show you how I'll make one in each one of the sizes. So for the bigger one, we need 41, let's make it 41 inches, and that's it. So 41, and we cut. And for this one, I need two 14-inch strips. So let's make it maybe 14 and a half, so 29, and then I'll just divide it into two. Oh, I love this fabric. The color is awesome. The little flowers are gorgeous. And guys, if you're into precision, don't be nervous, okay? This will work out in the end, I promise. I know you would rather I measured the whole thing very precisely, but that's not really necessary. It really isn't. So now we cut this in half. And there we have it. Two 14.5 inch strips by 2.5 inches and one 41 by 2.5 inches. Now, what we need to do with these strips is, and in this case, the fabric is exactly the same, one size of the other. I can't really say what's the wrong size and the right size, so that's good news, I guess. We just need to fold them in half, just like that, and we will sew a line on the seam, making a small tube. Now I'm using a 1/4 of an inch foot. You may use a larger seam allowance if you want. It will make the job of pressing the seams open, you know, a little bit easier, but here we go. Okay, so now we're just going to press our seams one to each side. Let's just open them up first. And at first, it may occur to you that this step isn't necessary. And if I'm honest, for this particular kind of fabric, it's really thin fabric. It's not like something you absolutely have to do, but you know, if you use sturdier fabric, you can use any fabric really. You can use jeans for this project, you can use really, you know, thicker fabric, in which case, if you don't do this, it will show on the end result. It will be bulky, it will be all over the place. This is what we need to do for all our strips, okay? All 54 of them. Now, this may seem like a lot of trouble, a lot of strips, but I think we've done, you know, harder things. A pasacalha quilt coming to mind. Plus, you know what? It sounds like it feels like it takes a really long time in the beginning, but once you get the hang of it, it's actually pretty fast. And of course, you don't have to make something, you know, as large as the one I'm making. You can make just, you know, a centerpiece. It doesn't have to be a table runner. Although, you know, as far as table runners go, this one is not the biggest. And now that we have pressed our seams, we need this. This little tool that kind of looks like a torture device, or, you know, the hook they used to pull the brains from the nose in Egyptian times. whatever you want to call it. This is a loop turner, and we use it to, you know, turn our tubes inside out. I will be leaving a link in the description for this one. It's pretty simple, you know, there's really nothing to it. There's a hook over here and a handle over here. Okay, so now let me show you exactly how to use this, okay? We want this little thing to be turned down. We insert the hook inside our tube, we turn it around, and we, you know, hook it on, whoops, okay, maximum zoom. And now we just start to turn it around. We need to help it with our fingers a little bit for the beginning. And now that we feel it's turning, we just keep going. Keep tension at all times. Don't let go of the fabric as you turn it around, because the hook may, you know, get released, and then you go. Now, if the hook by any chance gets released inside the tube, don't worry. If it's close to, if you just started, you can just push the fabric back and start again. If it's closer to the end, you just put the hook inside, and because this is kind of pointy, you should be able to hook the fabric that's inside and pull it out, okay? So not a worry. And this does sound complicated, but I promise you, after doing it with so many pieces of fabric, so many tubes, you will be an expert. Let's do the second one. Just like that. And you want, as soon as I'm actually not doing that, but as soon as the fabric is on the other side, you don't want to use the hook anymore, because you may tear the fabric. I've done it. I've done all the mistakes, I think. I've done them all, guys. This is the bigger one. It's the same thing. You just need to keep, you know, that pressure for a bit longer, and it's kind of harder to, you kind of feel it in your fingers when the fabric has turned. You know that you're pulling on the exterior fabric, but that the interior fabric is where it was, where it's supposed to be. And then you just keep pulling and pulling and pulling, and there we go. That's it, guys. Nothing to it. And now we just go ahead and press this once again with the seam in the middle, just like that. And if you want to, you know, and if your fabric is soft enough and you want to make a reversible table runner, you can leave the seam to the side. And that way, you know, on both sides, you won't see a seam. And now to do this exact process for the other 53 strips. Be right back. Okay, guys, so this is what I get in the end. Now, these are the smaller ones. Let's put them to one side. So, smaller ones, and these are the bigger ones. Okay, so this is what we have to work with. Let's start to weave. Okay, guys, so these are the first 5 strips I've chosen, and now I'm just going to also mark the middle. So it's over here. So here and here is where I'm getting my middle, the middle of my project. We do it like this, like this. We can remove those pins now. Yeah. For me, it's easier to pin them initially, but it doesn't mean I have to, okay? So, and don't worry if this is the exact same fabric as the one I'm using. This is going to happen quite often. All these fabrics will meet and cross. It's okay. Now, I am just going to pull these 3, and I'm going to be adding another. And then I can pull these back. I'm just gonna get them close, really, really close. We want them to be tucked. I'm going to be removing the exact same layers that I did before I'll pull them back. And now I just get it as close as I possibly can, trying to get them all straight from the beginning. And I know that you're probably, you know, a little bit surprised by the colors that I've chosen, because I'm usually into big colors, right? Into really vibrant things, but like I said, this was a gift from my best friend, and you know, a winter table runner, well, it can be whatever you want it to be, but I just these colors for me were so, I don't know, nostalgic. I don't really know if that's the right word for it, if I'm honest, but it just felt, you know, it felt right. Also, you know, it goes without saying that you can do whatever you want with this, right? Like a pot holder, or a mug rug, or a placemat, or a rug, or wherever you feel like it, okay? All you need to do is calculate the size you need and how many strips you'll require, you know, nothing to it. And of course, we will need to add some of these bigger strips as well. And we do the exact same thing. So I'm going to need to pull these back so I can add this strip right here and then pull it over. You know, there's only 14 of them, so these will be much quicker to do. Exact same thing. We pull these three back. We add the strip. And we just put it back, just like that. So these are the 14 longer strips. So now we need to put the remaining 40 smaller ones. Okay guys, this is what we've got. How cool is this looking? And like I said, no batting sandwich, no quilting, this is it. And now we want to make sure all of this stays together, right? So we're just going to baste it all around real quick. Okay guys, so let's just go ahead and do a little bit of a recap, okay? So this is what we've got, this is what we've made, and I have basted it by hand and then by machine to make sure these stick in place and don't move around. And now what I need to do is to cut, you know, to trim off these excess strips. I'm going to be leaving like ½ an inch for every one of them, and then we will get this nice and straight. And the final step, of course, is adding the binding, okay? And I have some bias tape I've made right here. This is the color I picked, not too colorful considering, you know, the winter autumn colors we've got going on here, but I think it will probably make some of these yellow here pop, which is exactly what I'm looking for, okay? So I just made some 2-inch bias tape. I pressed it in half. So now all I need to do is sew the raw edge part to our binding like this, and then I'll just turn it around and sew it, and we'll be done. Now I could machine sew it on one side and hand sew it on the other. I have done this many times for my quilts, but I am keeping it simple this time, so I'm going to machine sew it on both sides. Okay, so first we trim, then we add the binding. Let's go. And here we go guys, this is the back. So now I just turn it to the front, get our little clips, and start working on it. Let's turn this around. It's going to be really thin, but that's exactly how I want it, okay? I never wanted this to be overwhelming considering how much color it has compared to the table runner itself. Here in the corner, let me show you. I've shown you this so many times, I know, but you know, can't hurt to show you another. So we have our corner right here, and we do it like that. It really is a shame that we got a seam in the corner. It's going to be a little bit bulkier than I wanted, but it's not impossible. It's just, you know, a little bit bulkier, that's all. So there we go. And that's it, you guys. Our table runner is complete and looking super cool. What do you think, guys? Thank you for doing this with me. I had a blast. I hope you did too, and I will see you really, really soon. Bye bye.